Imagine you're taking a calculus test. You know the derivative of sine of x, you know the derivative of x squared, you're feeling confident. But then you turn the page and the functions have literally crashed into each other. Not sitting side by side, but nested entirely inside one another. This is exactly where your basic rules completely fall apart, and you need a brand new mathematical tool to survive. Take a look at this challenge right here. How in the world do we differentiate the sine of x cubed? You know the derivative of sine of x is cosine of x, right? And you know the derivative of x cubed is 3x squared. That's the easy part. But how do you handle a scenario where x cubed is literally trapped inside the sine function? Now, if this were just simple multiplication, say sine of x times x cubed, we could easily just fall back on the product rule. No problem. But as we can see with these nesting dolls, composite nesting is an entirely different beast. The sine function is acting directly upon x cubed. It's a function inside a function. And that reveals a massive, glaring gap in our current calculus toolkit. But don't worry, because by the end of this explainer, you are going to understand the ultimate calculus cheat code. You'll learn the core concept, the exact formula behind it, and exactly how to apply it step by step so you can easily peel apart any composite function your professor throws your way. Section 1, the composite function problem. So let's start by properly diagnosing this nested function situation. To really grasp what's happening here, we need to think about a chain reaction. Imagine a series of mechanical gears turning each other. As our fundamental variable x changes, that inner gear, x cubed, turns and changes as a direct result. And because x cubed is changing, it physically forces the outer gear, the sine function, to change too. It's a sequential chain of events. So if we want to compute the overall rate of change, we absolutely have to account for every single gear in this mechanism. Section 2, unlocking the chain rule. Okay, let's dive into this and translate our gear analogy into the actual mathematics. Here is the defining formula of our explainer today, the chain rule. It states that the derivative of a composite function h of x is equal to f prime of g of x multiplied by g prime of x. Let's break that down because it looks like alphabet soup. First, you take the derivative of the outer function, f. You leave the inner function g of x completely alone inside of it. Don't touch it. Then you multiply all of that by the derivative of the inner function. Now you might be asking, wait, why do we multiply the derivatives instead of just adding them together? It's a great question. The reason is that rates of change compound multiplicatively in a chain reaction. Let's go back to our real-life gears. If gear A turns twice as fast as gear B, and gear B turns 3 times as fast as gear C, well, gear A turns 6 times as fast as C, 2 times 3. You multiply the ratios. Calculus works the exact same way. Before we actually crunch some numbers, here is a crucial rule. This is literally where I see students make mistakes all the time on exams. You must work outside in, and you must never evaluate a derivative at a derivative. Notice how the inner function g of x stays perfectly intact inside the outer derivative f prime. You do not touch it until you multiply by the inner derivative at the very end. Section 3, combining with power rules. Let's make this much easier to see with a real step-by-step example. We're going to combine our new chain rule with the standard power rule. Let's differentiate h of x equals the quantity 3x squared plus 1, all raised to the power of -2. Okay, step 1. Identify your layers. The outer function is simply something raised to the -2. The inner function is our polynomial, 3x squared plus 1. Step 2, apply the power rule to that outer shell. We drop the -2 to the front and lower the exponent to -3. Step 3, crucially, we keep the inside perfectly the same. So we have -2 times the quantity 3x squared plus 1 to the -3. Finally, step 4, we multiply by the derivative of the inside, which is just 6x. Clean it all up, and our final answer is -12x times the quantity 3x squared plus 1 to the -3. See? Not so bad. Section 4, tackling trigonometric functions. Now let's shift gears and apply this exact same algorithmic process to trig functions. Here's a quick question to keep our momentum going. What happens when the inner function is a power, but the outer shell is a trigonometric function? Let's take a look. Let's solve h of x equals cosine of 5x squared. Remember the golden rule? Work outside in. First, let the inner g of x be 5x squared. Its derivative is super simple, just 10x. Next, we look at the outer function, cosine. The derivative of cosine is negative sine. We keep the inside completely intact, giving us negative sine of 5x squared. Lastly, we multiply by our inner derivative, 10x. Notice how we strategically pull the 10x to the very front to get negative 10x times sine of 5x squared. We always want to pull that polynomial to the front so it doesn't accidentally get confused with the angle inside the sine function. Section 5. The product rule mashup. All right, take a deep breath because now it's time for the ultimate boss fight. We are going to combine the chain rule with the product rule. Now wait, this is absolutely important. A lot of students ask, how do we track the algebra when these rules collide? Because let's be honest, it gets messy fast. The secret here is structure. You have to keep track of the individual pieces before you put the puzzle together. Let me show you exactly what I mean. Let's look at h of x equals 2x plus 1 to the 5th power times 3x minus 2 to the 7th power. Because these are two separate chunks multiplied together, the outer structure is the product rule. So that's derivative of the first times the second, plus the first times the derivative of the second. But to find the derivative of the first and the derivative of the second, we must use the chain rule nested inside. For the first term, applying the chain rule gives us 5 times 2x plus 1 to the 4th multiplied by the inside derivative of 2. For the second term, we get 7 times 3x minus 2 to the 6th multiplied by its inside derivative of 3. We are literally nesting the chain rule inside the product rule. Mind-blowing, right? Once you substitute those pieces back into your product rule structure, the actual calculus part is completely finished. All that is left is some heavy algebra. You simplify by factoring out the lowest common powers. In this case, 2x plus 1 to the 4th and 3x minus 2 to the 6th. You crunch the remaining numbers, and you beautifully arrive at a fully factored answer. Don't let the long equation scare you. If you structure the calculus steps properly from the start, the algebra falls right into place. Section 6. Summary and next steps. Before we wrap up, let's summarize the key points so you can lock this into your memory for good. Here is your essential composite function checklist. Print this in your mind for your next exam. Number 1. Always identify your outer and inner layers first. Number 2. Differentiate the outside function. Number 3. Explicitly leave the inside function alone, absolutely untouched. And number 4. Multiply everything by the derivative of the inside. It is a perfect, repeatable outside-in algorithm that works every single time. But I want to leave you with a provocative thought to really test your understanding. What happens when it's not just two functions? What if k of x equals h of f of g of x? A function inside a function inside a function, literally like a Russian nesting doll. How would you apply the chain rule then? Think about our gear analogy and our outside-in checklist. I challenge you to write out that formula on your own before diving into our next explainer, where we